At 32 years old, Kevin Marshall was making $45,000 a year. On paper, that wasn't terrible. He had a steady corporate job in Phoenix, Arizona, health insurance, a 401k, a small apartment, a predictable life. But one Tuesday afternoon, while reviewing yet another spreadsheet for his manager, he did the math. After taxes, rent, insurance, gas, and groceries, he was saving about $320 a month. $320. At that rate, it would take him nearly 8 years to save $30,000. 8 years. And that's when something hit him. If he kept going like this, he would be 40 years old before he even felt financially stable. And stability wasn't wealth. It was survival with a nicer title. Kevin minimized the spreadsheet and stared at his reflection in the dark screen. He wasn't lazy. He showed up on time. He completed projects. He never caused problems. But he was invisible, replaceable, and worst of all, he had no leverage. That word stayed in his mind. Leverage. Because Kevin realized something brutal that day. No matter how hard he worked, his income had a ceiling, and that ceiling was controlled by someone else. Every raise required approval. Every promotion required politics. Every opportunity required timing. He wasn't building wealth, he was renting income. That realization didn't come with panic, it came with clarity. That night, instead of watching Netflix, Kevin opened his budgeting app again. $45,000 salary, take home, roughly $2,900 per month. Rent, $1,350. Car payment, $410. Student loans, $280. Insurance, $190. Utilities and phone, $220. Groceries and gas, $450. Leftover? Almost nothing. He leaned back on his couch and stared at the ceiling. This wasn't poverty. But it wasn't progress either. It was financial stagnation. And stagnation is dangerous because it feels safe. He had told himself for years, I just need to work harder. But working harder at capped income changes nothing. That night, Kevin asked himself a question he had avoided. What skill do I have that companies compete for? Silence. He was good at following instructions, good at internal reports, good at managing small tasks. But none of those skills created market demand. They created job security. And job security doesn't create wealth. He realized he had confused busyness with value. He was busy all day. But was he valuable? That question stung, because value determines income, not effort. The next morning, during a team meeting, Kevin noticed something different. The senior data analyst, only 3 years older, was earning nearly $95,000. Double his salary, same company, same office. What was different? Skill, specialization, scarcity. The analyst knew advanced data tools, could automate reports, understood forecasting models. Kevin was manually organizing spreadsheets. That's when it clicked. He didn't need a new job, he needed a new skill. And that shift changed everything. That evening, instead of relaxing, Kevin researched data analytics certifications. The programs weren't cheap, $2,400 for a structured course. That number scared him, because $2,400 was almost 8 months of savings at his current pace. But he did another calculation. If that skill increased his salary by even $20,000 per year, the return would be massive. This was the first time Kevin thought in ROI, not cost, return. And thinking in ROI is how income changes. For years, he had avoided investing in himself because it felt risky. But staying at $45,000 until 40 was riskier. That night, he didn't enroll immediately. He sat with the discomfort. Because growth decisions require identity shifts. He wasn't just deciding to take a course, he was deciding to stop being average in his role. And that's uncomfortable. He knew the next 6 months would mean less entertainment, less social distraction, more study, more mental strain. But the alternative? 8 more years of slow savings. Kevin opened a blank note and wrote, "45K is not my ceiling." That sentence wasn't motivational, it was strategic, because income rarely exceeds self-perception. And Kevin had unconsciously accepted 45K as normal. That acceptance had been limiting him. He wasn't trapped by his company, he was trapped by his current skill set. And skill sets can change. That realization made him uncomfortable, but hopeful. He didn't need luck, he needed leverage, and leverage comes from specialized skill. By the end of that week, Kevin enrolled in the course, $2,400 charged to his credit card. It wasn't dramatic, but it was decisive. For the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving his job, he was upgrading his market value. And that is where real income growth begins. Kevin didn't feel powerful after enrolling in the course, he felt nervous. $2,400 on a credit card, when you only save $320 a month, feels reckless. But staying at $45,000 felt worse. So he made a simple rule. Weekdays, 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. study. Saturday, 3 hours deep work. Sunday, review plus practice projects. No exceptions. The first 2 weeks were brutal. After an 8-hour workday, staring at more data models felt exhausting. He failed the first practice assessment, scored 62%. That number shook him. His brain whispered, "Maybe you're not technical enough." Old Kevin would have taken that as proof to stop. New Kevin saw it differently. If I'm bad at this now, that means it's valuable. Scarcity creates income. If it were easy, it wouldn't pay. He kept going. By month 2, something shifted. He stopped memorizing formulas. He started understanding systems. Instead of manually building reports at work, he experimented with automation tools he was learning. One afternoon, he built a small macro that reduced a weekly reporting task from 2 hours to 25 minutes. His manager noticed. "What did you just do?" Kevin explained calmly. That small change saved the department roughly 6 hours per month. Not huge, but visible. Visibility changes positioning. Over the next 3 months, he continued stacking small wins, automating reports, improving dashboards, creating cleaner forecasting models. By month 5, something measurable happened. The senior analyst left for another company. A temporary gap opened. Kevin volunteered to take over some responsibilities. He wasn't fully ready, but he was no longer clueless. That difference mattered. For 2 months, he worked harder than ever. Not longer hours, smarter ones. He tracked metrics, reduced reporting errors by 18%, improved turnaround time by 22%. Numbers, concrete value. And numbers are language executives understand. At month 7, he scheduled a meeting with his manager. Not emotional, strategic. He walked in with printed metrics. "Over the past 6 months, I've increased reporting efficiency by 22%, reduced manual errors by 18%, and automated 4 recurring processes. I'd like to discuss compensation alignment with this expanded responsibility. No begging, no complaining. Data." That conversation led to a promotion to junior data analyst. New salary, $68,000, from $45,000 to $68,000 in under a year. Not overnight, not viral, not lucky, skill-driven. But the story doesn't end there. Because income growth compounds when identity shifts. Kevin didn't relax at 68K. He doubled down. He kept learning advanced forecasting models, studied SQL, built small freelance dashboards on weekends. Within 18 months of starting that first course, he received an offer from another company. $92,000 base salary, fully remote, from 45K to 92K in 18 months. That's a $47,000 increase, more than his entire previous savings timeline combined. And here's the psychological lesson most people miss. Kevin didn't work harder, he worked rarer. He moved from common skill to scarce skill. Labor is common. Advanced analytical thinking is scarce. Scarcity creates leverage. Leverage creates income. Income creates options. That's the sequence. When Kevin looked back at 32-year-old him staring at that budgeting app, he realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't underpaid, he was underskilled. That's hard to admit, but empowering. Because companies don't pay effort, they pay value, and value can be increased. You might be sitting at 50K, or 60K, or even 80K, but ask yourself honestly, is your income capped by your skill set, or are you truly maxed out? Most people aren't stuck. They're stagnant. Kevin didn't escape corporate life. He upgraded inside it. And that upgrade changed his financial trajectory permanently. From saving $320 a month to investing over $2,000 a month. That's how wealth begins. Not with motivation, with leverage. If you're earning income, but not building leverage, this is your wake-up call. Subscribe to Rich Mind Talk, because we don't sell dreams here, we build trajectories. $45,000 wasn't Kevin's ceiling, and your current number isn't yours either.